The unseen heiress. It was a humid Friday evening when Jasmine Brooks, a successful real estate mogul, stepped into the old colonial-style hotel nestled on the outskirts of a small southern town. The building, grand but tired, had seen better days. Its marble floors, high ceilings, and antique chandeliers whispered of a time long past. The Maplewood Inn had been an institution for years, but its reputation had deteriorated over time, much like its physical appearance. Known for its uncomfortable atmosphere and outdated decor, it also had a reputation for something more insidious: its history of exclusivity that catered only to the right kind of clientele. Jasmine had recently acquired the Maplewood Inn, a deal that seemed perfect on paper, but carried the weight of a contentious past. The town had whispered about the hotel's long-standing practice of denying African Americans, immigrants, and anyone not fitting their narrow view of acceptable guests. Though the building had a historic charm, the people who ran it were another story altogether. People who still believed in segregated accommodations. As she entered the lobby, the staff behind the desk, two white men in their 50s, paused in their casual conversation. Their eyes briefly met her gaze before quickly shifting to the floor. The air felt tense. Jasmine, unfazed, walked toward the counter with an air of confidence, her high heels clicking on the marble. "Can I help you, ma'am?" The older man behind the desk asked, his tone deliberately neutral, but his eyes betraying a flicker of something more. "I'm here to check on my property," she replied, smiling as she placed her leather portfolio on the counter, the weight of her professional success hidden behind a calm and collected demeanor. "I'm the new owner." The two men exchanged a quick glance, their faces growing pale, a subtle change in the room's atmosphere. The younger man, a bit more daring, looked at her skeptically. "New owner?" he stammered. "I think you've got the wrong place." "The Maplewood Inn's owners are." Jasmine's smile didn't waver. "I assure you, I own it now." The two men exchanged another uneasy glance, but this time they didn't hide their surprise as clearly. A silence hung between them, thick with unspoken history. The older man cleared his throat, trying to regain control of the situation, but his voice was strained. I think we need to make a call, Mom. There must be some kind of mistake." "No mistake at all," Jasmine said, her voice growing firm. "You can call whoever you need to, but trust me when I say I am exactly who I say I am." The younger man, unable to contain his curiosity, finally spoke. You own this place? You're the one." His voice trailed off as if he couldn't quite believe it. Jasmine nodded, undeterred. "I do, and I'm here to see how things are being run." The two men behind the counter froze. Their expressions betrayed a mix of disbelief, embarrassment, and something deeper: fear. Fear not just of Jasmine's authority, but of the changing landscape in front of them, something they couldn't control. A black woman in charge. A black woman with the wealth, power, and agency to change the dynamics of their community. The older man's face went white as a sheet. "Well," he began, trying to gather his thoughts, but the words didn't come. He looked around and his gaze fell on the worn-out portraits on the wall, old pictures of white patrons, owners, and dignitaries who had passed through the hotel's halls over the decades. But it wasn't just the portraits that weighed heavy on the men. It was the unspoken history of the hotel, a history steeped in segregation and inequality. They had watched, for years, as the Maplewood Inn had turned away black families, immigrants, and anyone deemed unfit. But now, standing before them was the new owner, the very demographic they had long tried to exclude. Jasmine stood tall, knowing exactly what she was walking into. She had heard the stories, the tales of how people had been turned away at the door, the rumors that the hotel's high walls had once served to protect a certain kind of privilege. What they didn't know was that Jasmine had grown up in this town. She had seen it all firsthand: the whispered slights, the subtle insults, the closed doors. But she had also seen the strength of her community, the quiet resilience of those who had been denied. And now, with this hotel, she held the key to change. "Listen," she said, her tone now calm and measured. "This place isn't just an investment for me. It's a legacy. It's about giving people a chance, no matter their skin color, no matter their background. What happens here will be different from now on. The older man stood up straighter, though he still appeared uncomfortable. Mom, we've just always had a certain way of doing things here. This town has its own traditions. Jasmine's eyes narrowed slightly, but her voice remained steady. Those traditions are what keep people out, and that's about to change. I'm giving you the opportunity to be part of that change. You don't have to like it, but you will respect it. Silence filled the room, but this time it was different. It wasn't awkward, it was transformative, where Jasmine, with all her quiet strength and grace, had broken the chains of history. With a soft nod, Jasmine turned on her heels and walked toward the grand staircase, leaving behind two men